So a little bit of background to our story. I suppose first we need to introduce, this is Kate, and this is the reason why we ended up in the Ronald McDonald House. In a background story, we had an anomaly scan at 22 weeks and kind of went in, didn't expect anything, a normal scan, everything was normal, everything was regular. And then I suppose very quickly our world turned upside down because we were told that there was a problem with the baby. And that was horrendous. And then we were told the problem with the baby meant the baby would have to be born in Dublin. The baby would need numerous surgeries. The baby, would have to stay in Dublin for a prolonged time. So I suppose once we kind of got our head around that initial diagnosis, the practicalities of everything hit us. How are we going to do this? How are we going to move to Dublin? Are we going to move to Dublin? Are we going to have to rent an apartment? What are we going to do? So a good friend of ours who actually had stayed in Ronald McDonald House recommended the house to us. So actually before Kate was ever born, I remember making a call one day ringing up going, I'm going to have this baby, we're going to be in Dublin, what do we do? So I suppose the answer at the other end of the phone was, don't worry, you'll be fine, was the first initial, and we will sort you out. And I suppose I was naive to the sitting, do I go on a waiting list, how does it work? And basically the answer was, when baby is born, when everything is settled down, you ring us and we will sort you out. So I suppose flash forward a few months and Kate was unfortunately born in Cork and not Dublin, well thankfully. And then, Kate went to Cork to Dublin that night and Brendan followed her up and I followed the next day. So I suppose the next day, literally, she wasn't even 24 hours old and I arrived in this hospital to this baby that was in intensive care. She was not the baby in my head that I gave birth to, but she was there. Went to intensive care, saw the baby, and then Brendan got a call and said, there's a room. We have a room ready for you. So I suppose we didn't know what we were going into, but we walked into that house that day, and just the warmth and it was like, and it sounds a bit of a cliche, but it was like a hug. It was like it's going to be okay. Everyone was there, everyone's child is there sick and everyone's going through the same thing, but we felt welcomed and there was a jovial atmosphere in the most unjovial of times, but there was, a bit of messing and a bit of lightheartedness, I suppose, yeah. So like that hit me that first day. So literally I went from having a baby and then I saw her, she was not my baby, and then I went to this house and it was like, okay, sit down now and have a cup of tea. Take it all in. And I suppose from that that's how we ended up there. And I suppose from that moment it was like a second home. And again, another cliche, but it really was. I suppose being in a family, she was our priority at that point. Now it was the week before Christmas also, but we also had two other children that we had to think about. So I suppose having them, I remember they came up the week before Christmas. It was the Wednesday before Christmas. And Kate was still in ICU and the boys came up and next thing there was toys there for the boys. They loved it. They were so welcome. It was their bed. They referred to it as their bed in their house, and they were so welcomed. It was just amazing. So it was like their home. So I suppose the fact that we were able to be so close to Kate, and I suppose when you have a child that is very sick, and when you have a child in particular that's in ICU, you can't parent that child. That child you're extra to her needs. You just sit there, you look at her, you might touch her, but you don't care for her. So I suppose the huge advantage of having the house was that she was being cared for in the hospital. Yes, of course, we had to be there, but the house allowed us to still be parents to the other children. And we couldn't have done that if we stayed in the hospital. That wasn't a place for the children. So when you're there and when you're in the hospital long term, you're talking weeks, months, it's very important that you can parent. And I suppose that's what I felt was a huge advantage to me. I still felt like I was able to cook the boys their dinner. I was able to wash them. I was able to cut their nails because I was getting obsessive that their nails weren't being cut when they were in Cork. All that kind of thing made a huge difference to me.
Well, I suppose my first memory of Ronald McDonald House was on the 15th of December 2016. I arrived in the hospital in the early hours with Kate. Sandra unfortunately had to stay at home. And sometime on the 15th I got a call from Jenny in Ronald McDonald House to say that our room was ready and that I could come over whenever. And I remember myself and my dad came over, and my dad's a bit of a food lover, and there in front of us was a large spread cooked by, I don't remember what company, but it was around Christmas time, so there was a steady flow of companies cooking, and Dad thought this was the best place ever. Like, the food that is provided for us and to the other families was so appreciated by us and all the other families, just from talking to them over our time there. It made such a difference. It made everyone's life easier. If there wasn't a dinner, there was a lunch. If there wasn't a lunch, there was a dinner every day. Then on the weekends, you had Sean or Brendan coming in, cooking their meals, the roast on a Friday, the salad on the Saturday. It was just a bit of consistency in a world gone mad, if you will. And it just made such a difference to us. Like when we brought the boys up, there was a meal there for them every evening. We didn't have to worry about cooking too much. I won't say it didn't happen, but even if there wasn't someone there, there was facilities there for us to cook. Everybody had their own storage area, big fridge space for everyone, and it just made the practicalities of being away from home that little bit easier. And then as Kate got better, it was a place that we could bring Kate. You know, like they're so conscientious over there of the bugs that may or may not be going around. If Kate's not able to come over, they'll tell you straight away. There's something going around, keep her away for her own safety.
There were a bunch of things you could do. I forget some of them, but they were like ginormous building blocks that me and my brother James used to love playing with, and every day we used to go and try and build something. And on the first day, when we went in there, we made a new friend called Rihanna. Every day when we were going down there, me and James were both like, "Is she there yet?" Oh, is she there? Sorry about that. There was also a small outside play area with a house and a little jungle thingy McBobby. It was a fantastic place, and it was really fun.
The bedrooms were great, and we all slept in the one room, and it was fantastic.
I remember someone at one point asked me, is there anything you'd like to bring from the Ronald McDonald House to another house or to similar settings, hospitals? And it sounds bizarre, but I did comment that I would like to bring a particular table from the kitchen. Now, anyone walking in off the street, it's a table and it's a kitchen and it means nothing. But I suppose that particular table, and it was always the same table, meant so much more to us, because every evening you're after spending full day at the hospital, 14, 16 hours in the hospital, and you come back and it's 10 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden someone makes the tea, someone makes a plate of sandwiches, people come in one by one, we end up texting each other going, tea's ready, sandwiches ready, and you kind of sit there and you're having a bad day today, but it's someone else's bad day another day. So you share those bad days, you share the good days, you share the bad days, you share the challenging days, and then you find kind of there's a unique bond when you're with other families. Only you can understand, I'm cross today and I don't know why I'm cross, but that's okay, but I was cross yesterday, do you remember? And so it's that togetherness is the support mechanism that you have. Everyone thinks of each other. I'm in the house, would you like a coffee? Would you like me to keep your dinner? I'll put the dinner away. And I suppose that you can't buy that. You can't go into a 5-star hotel. If a 5-star hotel was available and you could afford it, you still wouldn't stay there. I mean, someone made a comment at one point, if we won the lotto, what would you do? If we won the lotto, we'd still be sitting around this table at 10 o'clock at night, because that means more than any money. So I think that togetherness is very important. I suppose we just want to thank the Ronald McDonald House, thank them for their support, for their love, for that big hug that they gave us. Thank you for keeping us together.